Hello everyone, Phoenix Knight here. Welcome to the channel, and welcome to a new playthrough on the channel. After continuing our game of This War of Mine earlier this morning, we're stepping into another familiar game world as we head to the world of Dune to play Dune Imperium by Direwolf Digital. In this game, we're trying to take control of the spice on Arrakis. We are going to be using the Rise of Ix expansion for this one, which introduces the Dreadnoughts and a slightly new, let's see if I can bring this up just a little bit. Yes, I can. Okay, perfect. And make sure we're still focusing on the board. Anyway, we're trying to take control of the spice on Arrakis. The biggest new thing are the Dreadnoughts. So I'll point out these first. We've got the disposal facility for 3 spice, which when you acquire it, also destroy a card. Reveal turn, if you have 6 or more influence, you may trash one of your cards in play, so something you've used. Then we've got Mini-Mic Film for 2 spice. Reveal turn, get 1 influence. And last up, Troop Transports. Whenever you recruit troops from the shipping track, recruit an additional troop. You may deploy any of them into the conflict. Okay. All right. So now we can go ahead and meet our leaders. Since we are playing a solo game, we will need 2 solo leaders. Or we'll need 2 leaders to oppose us. First up, we'll be facing Count Ilban Richezi from House Richezi. We don't worry about his special ability on the left. We only worry about the Signet Ring in the solo game. He'll get a Solari when he triggers his Signet Ring. Next up, we're taking on Baron Vladimir Harkonnen of House Harkonnen. His Signet Ring is he'll spend a Solari to get an Intrigue card. And the Automa opponents will spend resources in a little bit of a different way than we normally will. And then we start off with a Solari. We're also playing on Novice difficulty, so we're starting off with a Spice and a Water. We have Countess Ariana Thorvald of House Thorvald. We have to worry about both sides of the ability. So Spice Addict, whenever we harvest Spice, we gain 1 less Spice and draw a card. Hidden Reservoir, when we trigger our Signet Ring, gives us a Water. Okay, and I just want to make sure... What did I want to make sure of? I think we got everything all set there. I'll probably remember what it was I wanted to make sure of. I'll get my 5 cards ready. Oh, I did want to check on how the solo opponents deal with the Dreadnought stuff. I believe when they get to the top of the track, let's see, there should be special rules. Here we go for House Hagal. So the shipping track, they advance until they get to the second space of the shipping track. So if you're familiar with Dune Imperium, you'll know how this game basically works. With that in mind, we are all set to get into this game, so let's jump in right away. First up, we need a conflict. I'm not going to bring everything up as I usually do. This first conflict is all about the skirmish. So first place, we advance on any diplomatic track we want and gain a spice. Second place gains 2 spice. Okay, looking at that, I think what we want to do here is we'll start off with Count Ilban Richezi, his card from House Hagal. He'll move up to Interstellar Shipping. So he'll send one of his agents up there. If the rival doesn't have 2+ influence with a Spacing Guild, reveal another card. So never mind that. Go up to a Dreadnought. So he'll go up to Dreadnought. He'll get his first Dreadnought. And which top one does he get? Let me look here. So which tile does he get is the question. That's what I'm trying to figure out. Do they acquire tech? That's what I'm trying to figure out here. It's not explaining that. Well, gives them their dreadnought at any rate. I don't think they get a tech from it, though. Anyway, over to Harkonnen. He'll go over to Arrakis, which will give him a troop and his signet ring. So Arrakis, he'll get a troop, which will immediately go into the conflict. And his signet ring, he would spend a Solari to get an intrigue card, but he doesn't have that. As for me, I know what I wanted to make sure of. I wanted to make sure the 3 spice spaces in the middle of the board start with bonus spice. I think they do, but I'm not completely sure. I know we'll gain bonus spice in the... No, it doesn't look like they do, actually, so never mind that. I know they get bonus spice as the game progresses. Question is, are we going to do anything with either of those? And I think the answer to that is going to be... Well, we could definitely move up with the Fremen early, which is actually not a completely terrible idea. So I am going to use Seek Allies to deploy an agent to Still Suits, which will give me a reputation with the Fremen, a water, and I can deploy troops into the conflict, which I will deploy 2 troops in, so I'll go up to 4. I'll go up to 4 strength. And then Seek Allies will get trashed. I'll put that over here. Then revealing the next card for Richezi. He's trying to go to Arrakis, except Harkonnen's already got an agent there. He's trying to go to Still Suits, except I've got an agent there already. He's going to Dreadnought, except he's already deployed there. Going to Still Suits, I've still already gone there. He'll go to Harvest Spice with the most bonus spice. No spaces have bonus spice, so we reveal another card. He's going to Carthag, which is a conflict space, so he will gain a troop and deploy everything into the conflict. The Dreadnoughts are worth 3, so he's in the lead. Vladimir Harkonnen wants to go to Fold Space, and he will get there. So he'll go up on the Spacing Guild. And then as for me, I could spend my diplomacy card to go to Hardy Warriors to get more troops. The question is, do I care about that? Or do I just take the... Actually, I've got to worry about both of them being in the conflict. So I do want to make sure I get my hands on some spice if I can. I think we will, though. So I think we will use diplomacy to deploy my other agent to Hardy Warriors, which will cost me a water. I will gain a reputation with the Fremen. First victory point of the game. That'll give me 2 troops, and I think I will get all in on this conflict, which will bring me up to 10 strength. Mostly because I do want to be able to advance with a reputation. Let's see, then for my reveal turn, so diplomacy's gone. Diplomacy's discarded. Seek Allies is going to be trashed. So for the rest of my turn, so for the reveal turn, I get what's at the bottom of the card. So I get a total of 3 influence and another strength in the conflict. Oh, I forgot to reveal the Imperium row. That's right. All right, first up in the Imperium row, we have Spice Smugglers for 2. I can use that to deploy to blue spaces, spend 2 spice to go up with a Spacing Guild, and 3 Solari. Gain an influence and a sword during a reveal turn. Next up, Test of Humanity for 3. You can deploy to Bene Gesserit, green or blue spaces. Each opponent chooses to either discard a card or lose a deployed troop, 2 influence during a reveal turn. I'll bring that up just a little bit more. Mostly because I'm going to stop jarring the camera, ideally. Next up, Bounty Hunter for 1. I can use that to deploy to blue spaces. If used to send an agent to a board space with an enemy agent, get 2 Solari, and I can use this to deploy to somewhere somebody already has gone. Gain an influence and a sword on a reveal turn. Next up, Arrakis Recruiter for 2, using to go to blue spaces. When I use this to deploy, I get a troop and an influence and a sword on a reveal turn. Last up, Ix-Guild Compact with a Spacing Guild, 3. Gain reputation with the Spacing Guild. If I believe that's moved down 2 reputations? No. That can't be right. That seems like looks like unload 2 cards, triggered. So what does unload mean? Because that's unload 2, whatever unload means, to give me a dreadnought. Here we go, unload. Okay. So it looks like that is marked with an unload. To gain, this includes 2 additional ways to gain the effects of the reveal box. So when we discard the card, unload reveal boxes work like other cards. So you play Guild Chief Administrator and discard. So, okay, so when... Wait. That's on a reveal turn, so we discard... Okay, wait a minute. Note that a card... Unload reveal boxes also work like all other cards on one of your reveal cards. Unload the icon and gain its reveal effects normally. So that's not really explaining what unload does entirely. When you discard the card... So it looks like when you play it and discard, you play Guild Chief Administrator and discard Esmar Tuick. So because he has an unload. Okay, so it looks like that's what that does, is unload 2 cards. With 3, okay, so with 3 influence, now that I've got that out of the way, I think I will grab the Arrakis Recruiter for 2. And then we do have a Bounty Hunter for 1, but replacing that will be a Spice Trader for 4. I can use that to deploy to blue or yellow spaces. If I have 2 influence with the Fremen, I can discard a card to gain 2 spice from the looks of it. And then I get 2 influence and a sword on a reveal turn, but I will grab the Bounty Hunter. And then replacing that will be Duncan Idaho for 4. Can use that to deploy to blue spaces. Spend a water to gain a troop and draw a card if I use it to deploy. And then get a water and 2 swords if I use it during the reveal turn. So far, I'm at 11 strength, but the leaders each get a card from the House Hagaldek for the swords. So Richezi will find another 3. That'll bring him up to 8. That won't be enough to come over the top of me. And then Harkonnen gets nothing. So that means I win the first conflict. I get to go up with another faction. I will go up with the... Let's go up with the do I want to go up with the Spacing Guild, or do I want to go up with the Bene Gesserit? Or I could go... Actually, I could really justify going up with any reputation again. But I think I'll go up with the Fremen again. And I get a spice. Second place was Richezi. He will get 2 spice. All right, that's it for combat. Then we place bonus spice out. Boom, boom, and boom. Okay, check for endgame, except nothing's done there. Recall agents. Here was the second agent. Then we pass the first player, so Harkonnen becomes the first player. And we need a new conflict. This one is raid stockpiles. First place gets an intrigue card and 3 Solari, or 3 spice. Second place gets 2 spice. I'll return everything back there as well. Since Harkonnen is our first player, he deploys first. He's going over to secrets, which will let him go up with the Bene Gesserit. Then for my turn, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. When What do I want to do here? So now there's nowhere to sell spice, which could be a slight problem. But here, let's see. What do I want to do? I can't do anything in terms of gaining allies. Convincing argument won't help me deploy here. I'm probably going to use the signet ring to deploy. The only question is, where am I going with this? I think we'll use the signet ring to go to... I can go to green, blue, or yellow spaces with the signet ring. I could go to Siege Tabor since I've got 3 influence right now with the Fremen, and I think that's where I'm going to go. So I'll use the signet ring, which will give me a water, and then I'll deploy an agent to Siege Tabor. I'm taking the signet ring gives me a water. Going there gives me another water and a troop, which I'm going to sit tight and see if I need to deploy into the conflict. Then Richezi is going to tech negotiation, so he'll send an agent up to tech. Hang on, I got to replace the base. Thought it was on solidly here, but apparently it wasn't. There we go. So he goes up to tech negotiation. He will leave a negotiator there, which I believe is how that works. Just double checking on those symbols. Yes. Okay. So now over to Harkonnen, who now is going to deploy to... He's got 1 influence, so he's going to fold space again, which will give him a victory point for allying with the Space Guild. Then my second agent... I'm going to use Dune the Desert Planet on a yellow to go up to smuggling. So that'll let me go up on the track and give me a Solari. So now I'm up to 2. Big whoop. And then for Richezi, this will be his last agent turn. I forgot to reset all of this. Is going to Carthag, which will give him a troop and a dreadnought in the fight, so he's up to 5. And then my reveal turn is going to give me a sword I can't use and 3 to buy with. Let's use that to go to, or use that to pick up. We will use that to grab the Test of Humanity. And then replacing that will be Reverend Mother Mohiam. 6 influence to buy. If you have another Bene Gesserit in play, each opponent discards 2 cards. 2 influence, 2 spice on a reveal turn. You can use that to deploy to Emperor or Bene Gesserit spaces. Okay. So now Richezi reveals a card. Gets another 3 swords. Since he was the only one who had anybody in the conflict, he wins the conflict. Goes up. He gets 3 spice. And he'll go up with any faction. He will go up with... He could go up with anybody, really. I think he'll go up with the Emperor. Okay, then we go for the Maker phase. So we're replacing out bonus spice. And now we are the first player, so there's definitely a temptation. I need one more Solari, though, to be able to go get a Dreadnought. But I'm recalling agents right now. Where's the other blue one? There you are. And then I went to smuggling and Siege Tabor. All right. Now we pass the first player marker, so now I'm the first player, and our conflict this time is machinations, going up in reputations. First place gets to choose 2. Second place gets a water and a Solari. I will shuffle up my deck. So this is probably a conflict I want to try to get in on, if I can. One, two, three, four, five. But I need to be able to generate some troops first. And fortunately, I have the signet. Actually, I have diplomacy, so I can generate some troops. Which my first order of business, though, is going to be... What is my first order of business going to be? Well, fortunately, I do have the water if I want to go to Hardy Warriors, and I have a diplomacy card in my hand, which I think I will do that. So I'll pay a water to go up to send an agent to Hardy Warriors with the Fremen, which will let me advance up there. I take the alliance token with the Fremen, gain a victory point, and get a water for gaining the alliance. I'll get 2 troops, and I'll immediately deploy all 3 into the conflict, which will bring me up to 6 right away. House Hagal, or for Richezi, he'll go to selective breeding and go up on the Bene Gesserit. Harkonnen now has 2 influence with the Spacing Guild, so he'll go to interstellar shipping, which will allow him to move up there, and then he'll immediately jump back down, which will... So the shipping track always advances until he reaches the 2nd space. Then recall the freighter. So always chooses dividends, not spice. So he'll gain 2 troops that can't be deployed into the conflict yet. And then he will go up on a faction. So he'll go up on a faction as well. He'll go up on Bene Gesserit to give him another victory point. That seems like the thing he would pick to do. And then he chooses dividends. Right? Yes. So he gets 5 Solari while everybody else gets 1. Which actually helps me because that's the 3rd Solari I need if I want to go up and get a Dreadnought, which I'm not totally opposed to that idea yet, but I might hold tight on that for the time being because I still have... So his freighters were called. Then for me, I think I'm going to use the Signet Ring to do what? I think I am going to go get some spice. So I'll use the Signet Ring, deploy over to the Great Flat, which will cost me 2 water that I have. I'll shortcut that by paying in 2 water, but I'm going to keep 1 water because I get that from the Signet Ring when I use it. Then I'll get 4 spice. There's technically 2 bonus spice there, but remember my special ability, I get 1 less and draw a card, which is not completely useless. Hopefully it'll help me in the coming conflict, though. Over to Richezi, he's going to harvest spice, send an agent to the space with the most bonus spice, or total if tied. So total spice right now is Haga Basin. He will go there, gaining 4 more spice, but he will immediately spend, I believe it's 6 for a victory point, right? 7. Which actually, so this would be 4, 5, 6, 7. We'll bring him down to 2 and give him his first victory point, but it also lets him deploy his Dreadnought into the conflict. As for Harkonnen, he's going to Arrakis, which will give him his Signet Ring. So now he can spend a Solari to get an Intrigue card. 1, 2, 3, 4. Along with an Intrigue card and a troop that he's immediately going to deploy into the conflict. And then for my reveal turn, I have a total of 4 influence and 2 swords. That brings me up to a total strength of 8. Let's see, for 4 influence, I think that will be Duncan, Idaho. And then replacing Duncan, Idaho in the Imperium row will be the guild bankers for 3. Spacing Guild, I can use that to deploy to Emperor, Spacing Guild, or green spaces. And the Spice Must Flow costs 3 less to acquire this turn. Okay, so now we move into the conflict. I've got currently 8 strength. Richezi goes first for a sword draw. He finds 4. That'll bring him up to 7. The only way Harkonnen's going to overtake me is if he finds 6 swords, which he does not. He finds 2. So I win the conflict, which lets me go up with any 2 factions that I like. I'm going to go up with the... Well, Richezi is going to get a water and 2 Solari. As for my prize, I'm going to go up... There's no need to go up with the Fremen on this. I'm going to go up with the Spacing Guild and the Emperor. Okay, that's all there. Then we place a spice on the Imperial Basin. Recall agents. So far, Harkonnen and I are tied at 2 victory points. And that base came off again. And then, see if I can, must have been the other one. Push that down so it stays solid. Then I'll recall my agents. And I'm not really making any headway into getting my Sword Master, which is unfortunate. Because I wanted to be able to do that if I could. He could have actually Harkonnen could have actually deployed into the conflict, but I'm not going to worry about that now. Anyway, our next conflict is all about securing Imperial Basin. First place gets a victory point and control of Imperial Basin. Second gets 2 water. And Richezi is our first player. He's going up to Highliner. That's a problem. So he's going up here, gaining a reputation, gaining 3 troops, and immediately deploying everything into the conflict. So he's up to 7 strength already. As for Harkonnen, he is going up to tech negotiation. So he will go up here and leave a negotiator. As for me, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's see what I have to use here. Well, I think we'll go up. I think we'll use Test of Humanity, which I'll use that to deploy to secrets. Actually, am I going to use that to deploy to secrets, or am I going to go somewhere else with that? I think now we probably use our opportunity to go get a Dreadnought. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to go up to Dreadnought. It'll cost me 3 Solari. But I gain a Dreadnought, and I can pick up a tech tile. And I think I'm going to spend 2 to grab troop transports. So whenever I recruit from the shipping track, I recruit an additional troop, and I can deploy any of them into the conflict. So when I recruit from the shipping, when I recruit from the shipping track, okay. And then the new one that came out is Shuttle Fleet for 6. I can choose 2 reputations to go up with, and at the start of the round, you would get 2 Solari. Then for the agent, for Richezi, he's going to harvest spice, which is Imperial Base, and that's where I was eyeing going next turn. That's 3, and 1 more is 4 spice. But he's got everything deployed into the conflict as well. As for Harkonnen, he's going to the Hall of Oratory, which isn't in the game, actually, now that I look at it. So that shouldn't be That shouldn't be in the deck, since Hall of Oratory is not in the game. Conspire, however, is, which will let him go up with the Emperor. And then for my second turn, let's see. For my second turn, I need another influence with the Spacing Guild, but unfortunately, I'm not going to find it here. The question is, what am I going to find? I could probably use the green to deploy somewhere. Well, no, I can't actually, because the green spaces all have a Solari cost attached to them, so I can't use that to deploy. Convincing argument, so it looks like I'm going to a yellow space. The only question is, which one am I going to? And I think the answer I'm going to, the space I'm going to there, is I'm going up to... Oh, wait, I'm actually... How am I out of agents? I'm not. I'm blind is what I am. So I'll use a Dune the Desert Planet to go up to smuggling, which will give me another Solari and advance my freighter. I'm not going to recall it, though. And then that actually brings me into my reveal turn. So I have 3 influence and a sword I can't do anything with. For 3 influence, I'm going to grab the Spice Smugglers. For 2, if this is a 1 coming out, I will grab it as well. It is not. It's a Bene Gesserit's sister. For 3 influence, I can use it to deploy to Bene Gesserit or green spaces. 2 influence or 2 swords. Speaking of swords, Richezi is the only one in the conflict. He flips over a 2 for 9. So he wins the conflict, which gives him a victory point, bringing him up to 2 and giving him control of Imperial Basin. So his Dreadnought goes there. Then we place bonus spice on spaces that don't have any, or don't have an agent. Then we recall agents. There's yellow. And here are my agents. Right here. I was wondering where my second agent got off to. Harkonnen's our first player. And the new conflict, which also gives them their sword masters, is Siege of... Was that Siege of Imperial Basin? Never mind. All right. So when they have control, I believe the Dreadnought goes there, doesn't it? And will avoid covering one of its own. So it actually takes... Let me just double check that, but I'm pretty sure when you take control of it... You win a conflict in which you had at least 1 Dreadnought until the end of the next combat phase. So actually, I think the control marker goes to Imperial Basin anyway. So that goes back. Okay. They also get their sword masters, which is a bit of a problem here since we are nowhere near getting ours. We need to make Solari pronto. But anyway, the conflict here is a Siege of Arrakis. First place gets a victory point and a control marker. Second place gets 4 Solari. Come on, this does not want to... There we go. All right. So Harkonnen is our first player. He is going to Hardy Warriors with the Fremen. So he'll advance there. He'll gain 2 troops and immediately be able to deploy everything into the conflict, bringing him up to 8 strength. As for me, 1, I need to shuffle up. Two, three, four, 5. Okay, that's not totally garbage. In fact, I'm going to use diplomacy to deploy an agent to fold space, which will let me go up with a Fremen, give me another victory point, and give me a fold space card that I can use to deploy anywhere. And when I use it to deploy, draw a card and trash this card. So now that potentially opens up interstellar shipping for me if I've got a yellow card in my hand, and unfortunately I do not. As for Richezi, he's going to selective breeding, which will let him go up with the Bene Gesserit, giving him a victory point as well. Harkonnen going over to wealth with the Emperor, which will give him another victory. Actually, that should be blue up there. So now everybody's at 3 victory points. As for me, what to do. He's probably winning this conflict. Wait a second. I was just double checking something about dreadnoughts. So also, your dreadnoughts provide strength even if you have no troops in the conflict. So as long as you have a dreadnought active, it looks, even if it's in your garrison? Okay. All right, so that was Harkonnen. Now for my turn, which unfortunately I will be done after this because I only have 2 agents. And there are no spaces to gain Solari here, which is very annoying. Used to send... Okay, so we didn't do that. I could pay 2 spice if I wanted to with the spice smugglers, which might not be a terrible... That would send me up. That would send me up on the Spacing Guild and give me 3 influence if I did that. And I think that's what I'm going to do. So I'll use Spice Smugglers to deploy to... Actually, we'll use that to deploy to... Let's use that to deploy to Carthag. Do I want to go to Carthag? Yes. Let's go to Carthag, which will give me a troop, which I'm not going to deploy into the conflict. I also will pay 2 spice, though, to go up on the Spacing Guild and gain 3 Solari. Because I need to get my hands on my Swordmaster as quick as I can. All right. And then that gives me a troop, which I already took, and I get an intrigue card, which... Okay, so that's an endgame card. I need to work on getting my influence up then. Okay. And then that's it for my turn. They have agent turns as well because they have their 3rd agents. Richezi's trying to go to Carthag, except I'm there already. Trying to go to Fold Space, except I'm there already as well. So now we'll give this a quick shuffle. And a cut, and we'll try again on a card for Richezi. Dreadnought. He can go there, which will give him a Dreadnought, and apparently he is supposed to have a tech card. How does that... I don't think we ever figured out how that worked for the rivals. Do they gain... Well, Hordes will not... Okay, so can't acquire tech cards, but only those. So they should have 2 tech tiles. He should have 2 tech tiles then. So in a solo game, yada yada yada. If anytime there are no, trash the tile from the largest stack and reveal a new one. So trash the tile from the topmost stack. So at the first one, this one would have been trashed, and he would have gained, and he'll gain Shuttle Fleet from this one since it's the most expensive, which will also let him, which probably, it generally works the same way. So let's make sure Shuttle Fleet, nope, looks like he's going to choose 2 factions to go up on. So blue will go up on Spacing Guild to get a victory point and take the lead, and he'll go up on Bene Gesserit to try to take the lead there. All right, then for Harkonnen, he's trying to harvest spice. He'll be going to the Great Flats since it's got 4 spice. He'll also pay. Also got to pay 6 spice for the shuttle fleet. Let's see. Speaking of spice, Harkonnen gets 4. 3, 4. And he's already got troops in the conflict. As for me, I have 4 influence and a sword, which I think will be getting a spice trader. And then replacing that will be a spice hunter for 2. Can you go to Fremen or yellow spaces? Reveal turn gives you an influence and a sword. And then Fremen Bond, I believe, means that there has to be another Fremen card in play. Yes, in play. So Fremen Bond would give him a spice. And then that's, okay, so that's trashed. That's it for my reveal turn. Now Richezi, actually no, Harkonnen's the only one who's got anything in the conflict. He gains, actually, rally troops shouldn't be in the game either. So Carthag, so that actually gives him no more swords, but he will win the conflict, which will give yellow a victory point and control of Arrakis. So anytime we go there, anytime any player goes there, the player with the control marker there, oh, actually, Richezi should have had an extra agent turn, so we'll pretend he did, trying to go to selective breeding, fold space, conspire, he can go there, which will give him another victory point going up to 5 and 2 more troops. None of which would have mattered because he didn't have anything in the conflict. Harkonnen still wins the conflict. So yeah, we're in trouble in this one. Getting bonus spice there. Recalling agents. I think Richezi is probably going to pull this one out the way things are going here. Let's see. I become the first player, and we reveal a new conflict. All these go back, by the way. And now our new conflict is Cloak and Dagger. First place gets to go up a reputation of their choice and gain 2 intrigue cards. Second place gets an intrigue card and a spice. 3, 4, 5. Okay. Let's see what we want to do here. Going up a reputation wouldn't be a bad thing, especially with this intrigue card at the end of the game. Let's see. I can use almost anything to deploy. So I think I will go to... So let's use a Dune the Desert planet. And since I now have 3 influence with a spacing guild, I'll deploy an agent up to interstellar shipping, which will let me advance my freighter up twice, but I technically get to the top. So it's 2 separate instances. I get to the top and then I immediately recall the freighter, which will let me buy a tech tile for 2 less spice, which I'll use that to pay for Chalmurki, which will let me win tiebreakers, and give me... that also gives me 2 intrigue cards when I buy it. Let's see if any of these are useful. Not particularly without spice. Then I go down here, which gives me 2 troops that I can immediately deploy any troops into the conflict. So this one I will deploy into, which will bring me up to 4. And then dividend, and then I can either choose to gain 5 Solari, everyone else gets 1, which I think I will take that, because that will get me my Swordmaster this turn, assuming I have a green card I can use to deploy. And let me check my hand. I do have a green card I can use. Okay. Also, Richezi gets 2 Solari. So we'll bring it 3 of these 3s back and give him a 5. Okay. So everyone else got their 1. I've got to give 1 to Harkonnen as well. And then I go back up immediately. Okay. As for Richezi, he's going to Secrets. Where was his 3rd agent? He should have 1 more. Oh, he went to... Oh, I never recalled him from Dreadnought. So now he's going over to Secrets and going up with the Bene Gesserit, which will give him an Intrigue card for taking the Alliance, and then giving him a victory point for taking the Alliance. All right, Harkonnen is going to harvest Spice. He's going to the most bonus Spice, which will be Haga Basin. That'll give him 4 Spice. Conflict card is a 2, so he will still hoard Spice. As for me, I'll use a dagger to go up to the Swordmaster space, paying 8 Solari, and that will finally give me my Swordmaster, but odds are it's going to be too little too late. Okay, that can go to the discard pile. Now for Richezi, going to Hardy Warriors, which will let him go up with the Fremen, give him 2 troops, and he's going to deploy everything into this conflict. So odds are I'm going to get overwhelmed here. So that's a total of 6, 12, 14 strength. Yikes. Then for Harkonnen, going to Selective Breeding, which will let him go up with the Bene Gesserit. And then with my Swordmaster for the first time, I'm not liking my odds on this conflict. I do have... I think I'll use a Dune the Desert Planet to go up to Smuggling, which will give me a Solari and advance my freighter again. I'm not going to... am I going to recall it, though, is the question. Odds are it's not going to do me any good to recall it now. Actually, if I want to go up on the Spacing Guild again, that might be a reason to... Actually, I could go up on the Spacing Guild or the Emperor with that. Either way would give me a victory point. Although Richezi is very much running away with this game at this point. And I don't think buying any tech is going to do anything for me, so I think I will go ahead and recall my freighter, which will give me 2 troops and let me advance with the Emperor. That'll give me another victory point for getting up to level 2 on the Emperor. I'm not deploying the 2 troops into the conflict. Then I can either gain 2 Spice or Dividends for 5 Solari. Everyone else gets 1. That would give Richezi another victory point. Actually, I would give 2, 4, 6. I would give both of them another victory point, so I'm going to take the Spice instead. Then my freighter finishes getting recalled. Over to Richezi. He's trying to go to Conspire, which he can. He'll advance up there. Then Harkonnen is going to Dreadnought, which he can do. And then that will... that'll give him a Dreadnought in the garrison and a tech tile. So he'll gain 3. He'll spend 3 to gain training drones. And replacing that will be invasion ships for 5. If you exhaust that and unload a card and discard a card, enemy agents don't block your agent this turn. And acquiring it gives you 4 troops as well. Then for me, I've got 1 influence and 2 swords. The 1 influence isn't doing anything for me. Then Richezi is gaining 3 more swords to go up to 17. So he will most definitely win the conflict. I don't get anything for second place, I don't think, in conflict. Do I? I doubt it. wins the second place. Okay, so yeah. So yeah, I do get the second place award. But Richezi will go up with a faction. He'll go up with the Fremen, actually, to gain another victory point, because that's what he probably would do. He'll gain two intrigue cards, but he'll immediately spend 3 of those. Where is it? Here it is. He'll immediately spend 3 intrigue cards to gain another victory point, going up to 8. And then I get an intrigue card, which isn't total. Ooh, I was going to say, which isn't total garbage. And a spice. That should have gone to Harkonnen. Actually, the bonus spice will go out. Then we'll recall agents. And if Richezi wins this conflict, well, let's see what it is first, but we're probably not looking at too much longer in this game anyway, especially if Richezi picks up this conflict. We got to put that back. Okay. Then we'll pull Harkonnen's agents back. All right, everything goes back to garrisons. And then our next conflict. Okay, battle for Arrakis. So 2 victory points and control of Arrakis. Then second place gets to choose 2, getting an intrigue card, 2 spice, or 3 Solari. Richezi is in control, is the first player, though. He is going straight to Highliner right away. This is... Okay, so yeah, the game is probably just going to be over at this point. He'll go up with the Spacing Guild, deploy everything into the conflict. He's already at 12 strength. I think he seems like he's had about enough of this game, which I can't honestly blame him for the way it's going. Harkonnen is going to Interstellar Shipping. Yellow does have 2 influence. So he will move up 2, and then he'll immediately recall 2 troops into the garrison. And up with a faction. He'll go up with the Emperor, which will let him go up a victory point, give him the alliance, and 2 more troops in the garrison. Okay, and then he'll always choose dividends, getting 5 Solari, giving each of us 1. Except Richezi can spend 7 Solari to get a victory point, as can Harkonnen. Okay. Then for me, 1, 2, 3, 4. Got to give this a shuffle. Just checking things on the phone here. Okay, things are all quiet there. Five. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is there any way we can salvage this mess or at least keep the game going? The answer is almost certainly no. So, just to pretend we're going to make it seem remotely interesting, unfortunately, I can't get to the Emperor space. I can't get to an Emperor space this turn. So I'll use Duncan, Idaho to deploy to a blue space. I will go to the research station, which will cost me 2 water, which will let me draw 3 cards. 1, 2, 3. Okay, that's moderately helpful. And then since that is a conflict space, I can deploy, what is it, up to 2? What is it, up to 2 units into the conflict? And man, my stomach is sending me nasty grams today. plus up to 2 more from the garrison. Okay, so we will deploy... Well, just to pretend we're going to make it interesting, we'll deploy a dreadnought and a troop. That's up to 5 strength. And since I didn't have the water to pay for the Duncan effect, but I think the 3 cards was a better deal. All right, so Richezi up next, and he is going to... How much influence does he have with the Spacing Guild? He's got 3. He can't go to interstellar shipping, though, because Harkonnen already sent an agent there. He'll go to tech negotiation, and he'll leave a negotiator behind. As for Harkonnen, he's going to still suits, which will send him up with the Fremen, giving him 7 victory points, and he can deploy into the conflict. So he'll deploy his dreadnought and a troop and bring himself up to the same 5 strength that we have. Then for me, since I know this game is just about over, I'm going to use diplomacy to go up with the Emperor. Yeah. Actually, are we going to do the Emperor? Yes, I think we are. So we'll deploy up to wealth, and we'll get 2 Solari. All right, Richezi is going to harvest spice. He'll come down to Imperial Basin and get 3 spice because there's 1 plus 2 bonus. As for Harkonnen, this is his last agent turn. He can't go to interstellar shipping because he already sent an agent there. Rally troops, not in the game. I didn't realize there was 2 in the deck. Arrakis he can go to, which will give him a Solari since he's got control of it. He gets another troop, which he can deploy this and 2 more. Along with his signet ring, he'll spend a Solari to get another intrigue card. Let's see. And then for my... Okay, so he's at 3, 8, 11 strength. As for me, I don't think I have a way to get anything more into the conflict. No. So I guess I will just go... I guess we'll use the signet ring to go up to smuggling. That'll give me a water because I'm using the signet ring to deploy. Then I'll get a Solari and advance my freighter. Not that it's going to do me any good whatsoever. So I will have a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 influence and 2 swords, which is leaving me in last place in this conflict. 7 influence, we'll grab Reverend Mother Mohiam for 6. And then replacing that, we'll be shifting allegiances for 3. So that does exactly bubkiss for me. As for the last conflict, Richezi will flip over. Hall of Oratory still not in the game. 2 more swords to up to 14. And Harkonnen finds nothing. So he wins so Richezi wins the conflict, gaining 2 victory points and taking control of Arrakis away from Harkonnen, which actually he'll use one of his dreadnoughts to cover that. Harkonnen will get an intrigue card, immediately spend 2 of them to trade in spend 3 of them to trade in for a victory point, and he'll get 2 spice. Same logic, he'll spend 7 to immediately gain another victory point. Okay, and then we check for... We place bonus spice on spaces that have bonus, or that don't have an agent. Recall, we check for endgame. We have triggered the endgame because Richezi has 11 victory points, and he has won the game. He very much... Getting those 2 dreadnoughts as early as he did really helped him run away with this game. I still enjoy this one. Admittedly, I need to get it out a bit more. Because as you can see, I'm very rusty at it, only pulling it out like a couple times a year. And the expansion is still relatively new to me, but that is it for Dune Imperium. We're not quite done yet, though, because I'm going to clean this up, and I just got a delivery in earlier this afternoon that we're going to unbox on the channel. So yeah, that was an episode in futility at best. So we'll see about getting this at least picked up enough, excuse me, so I can do the product unboxing. Okay. Let's see here. I'll need to separate the expansion stuff out. Which thankfully none of these, actually never mind. I was going to say none of these are expansion to start with, but one of them actually is. I'll get the rest of it, like I said, I'll get the rest of it picked up later, but we do have a delivery in. This is from a gentleman off of Board Game Geek, and this is actually the box I was expecting today. If you were around for when I played this War of Mine earlier this morning, Jester told me he sent me a link to some wooden bullets for Bullet Heart and Bullet Star. That's what these should be, so let's crack it open and see what we've got in here. We can put that away. Oop. And you put tape inside. There we go. What? Interesting. Looks like he put a gingerbread man in here. I was not expecting that at all. But sure enough, we do have the deluxe bullets for Bullet Heart and Bullet Star. Contains a full set of wooden bullets and AP, shield, and intensity markers for use with any bullet-based game. So that's cool. Let's crack this open and take a look at these tokens. So, funny story of how I ended up picking these up. I decided last week that I actually had liked Bullet Heart and Bullet Star, so I wanted to grab them. First instinct was to go to the Geek because, hey, maybe they have a used copy of it there or something. So I found a listing for $20. The way it was worded, I thought it was initially the game at first glance, but it turned out to be the listing for these tokens. So I hammered out a deal. Then when I realized that it was actually the tokens, I was like, oh, I should probably go buy the games. Fortunately, I still had a mess of actually, I think that was the day before my Noble Night trip last week. So I already had the deal hammered out. And ooh, I do like the look of these. As usual, we'll have to go through and get the Num Num silica gel out. But yep, we've got the different color markers in here. So we got the black markers in here as well. Greens, yellows, blues, reds. And since I've got the pinks out here, we'll go ahead and get a feel for how these feel. They almost sound a little bit more plasticky than wooden, but no, they definitely feel like they're wood. But yeah, now I can use these instead of having to buy more coin capsules for the cardboard tokens, which would have been a tempting idea. But now that's not a question I have to worry about. It looks like this is a little bit dinged, but not oh, he said it was going to be dinged, but not. It's not in terrible shape, and everything inside seems to be in perfect condition. But I'm rambling a bit. That'll do it for this playthrough of Dune Imperium. Now I'm going to start cleaning this whole mess up, and later tonight I should be able to unveil one of the projects that I'm starting to get some testing ready for. But we'll see how the schedule shapes up there. As for tomorrow, we'll be starting in the morning with a game as we jump in. We'll be starting the morning by jumping into our Night Fighter over World War II Germany as we play Night Fighter Ace from Compass Games. Tomorrow afternoon, it's going to be a bit of an interesting day because I've got to run a few errands, but I am planning on playing Hero Realms by Wise Wizard Games. Thank you for watching the video. Please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Be sure to turn on notifications so you get my content. Be well, stay safe, take care of yourselves and your loved ones, and I'll be back with more videos in the future. Until then, take care, everyone.